this old chainsaw would be a perfect way to amputate my legs. Something that I used to consider when I was younger, about 19, when I had a physically demanding job, was amputating my legs. And I'll kind of go into why I used to want to do that and why I don't want to do it anymore. It was just something I consider. I never really thought I was going to do it, but I just considered it because I was going through a lot of physical pain, and I figured, they didn't work right anyways. What's the point of going through all this pain? Plus, I get stared at a lot when I walk, especially by young children. I get bullied, things like that. I feel like sometimes people don't respect, especially back then, they didn't respect me just because of the way I walk. When I walked into a room, you could tell people were staring at me, and if I ever said anything, they didn't respect me because they just said, "Oh, that's the guy who walks funny." So I felt like people didn't take me seriously. So I just felt it'd be right above the knee and on both legs, and just be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. But I really reconsidered that because I thought, the people who knew me before I had an amputation, would almost lose their respect completely. Not everybody did not respect me. People who knew me had a great deal of respect for me. Generally just the ones, you could tell that didn't know me, that just saw me walk. It was hard to earn that respect, harder because of the way I walked. So I figured, I could make up some story about how I lost my legs, and it would sound pretty cool. And then I could also keep up with people. I wouldn't go through physical pain, because generally when I walk, that's when I go through the majority of the pain. I wouldn't have, people staring at me as far as walking's concerned. And I thought it'd just be less awkward. But like I said, if I did amputate my legs, I realized I'd still have a lot of people stare at me. I think it's actually more awkward to have two nubs than it is that walk strange. And I know people feel bad for me now occasionally, which I don't like. So if you feel bad, if you feel an urge to feel bad for me, I really wish you wouldn't. But I feel like more people would probably feel more bad for me if I did amputate my legs. Some people wouldn't ask, just assume I was born that way, and most people don't ask about cerebral palsy, which I don't really like when people ask me what my disability is or what's wrong with me, because I don't really care to tell everybody. It's my own business, and I'll get, if I get to know you well enough, I'll tell you eventually. So it's just something that if I see somebody in a wheelchair or that walks funny, or some sort of crippling disease, I'm not going to ask them what's wrong with them. I just feel it's disrespectful. But I will still have a conversation with them and treat them like anybody else. That's something I've learned to do with cerebral palsy. So I think now, I don't consider amputation at all as an option. Maybe someday they'll come up with a cure for cerebral palsy, or just walking a little bit is better than not walking at all. So it might be less awkward sometimes, but it is convenient to walk even if it's not that great. So that's why I don't want to amputate my legs anymore.